Time to talk about the New York Knicks.
Gasp. We never talk about the New York Knicks.
It's time to talk about the New York Knicks. Hey, are they going to have a top 10 offense this year? They are third in offensive rating, according to NBA.com, 12th in defensive rating. In the month of November, they were second in offensive rating, 10th in defensive rating. And so you're seeing the building blocks of what the Knicks can become. I think it's been a real patient effort from Coach Mike Brown as far as establishing, I want to play with more pace, as everyone likes to say, but I want to play with more tempo in the half court. I want to get into my actions quicker. I want you guys to go side to side. I want to empower and get Jalen Brunson off ball. Let's get Bridges on ball. Let's get McBride on ball. Let's get everyone involved and try to push this to something where we can have a base no matter who's in the lineup. They have won 11 of their last 14 games, guys. So while the Pistons have been doing what the Pistons have done, the Knicks just been really quietly sneaking and lurking, about to knock on the door pretty quickly. Now, the Knicks did have 2 losses to Orlando during that stretch and 1 loss to Miami, but they're 10-1 in Madison Square Garden this year, which seems important going down the line if you can get home court advantage. And they were winners of 4 straight as of recording. Now, I bring up that 4 straight because the starting lineup of Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Cat, 4-0 so far. And I have liked the move for a couple reasons. One, I do think it's easier to manage Mitchell Robinson's minutes off the bench. If he's going to be slotted to be 17, 18, let's bring him off the bench. Let's tie him in with Yabusele. Let's give our bench a different look. Let's try and help our bench have a little bit more defense. Let's get the rebounding advantage and get second units. Let's kind of keep that there. And on the other side, would you look at it, Josh Hart sure is doing some stuff again, huh, Nekias?
Sure is.
He sure is putting together a little bit of a season. So in the 4 games as a starter, Josh Hart averaging 17 points, 11.8 rebounds, 7 assists, shooting 53% from the field and 45% from 3 on 5 attempts a night.
Seems good.
And he is really an important factor for the Knicks. I've liked the job they've done to not only play him, but also get him more involved offensively. The scoring is fine and nice, but I think his initiation, bringing the ball up the court, grabbing and going a rebound, just getting them into things can be good for the Knicks, especially as teams want to deny Jalen Brunson in the backcourt, make him work harder. You can use him kind of like a mini hub, just a connector on offense. You get a swing, you can go to a dribble handoff, you can go to pick and roll. His passing has been good. His drives, random play for the Knicks, I think is good. And this isn't just a Knicks thing, but we've seen it in Atlanta with like Dyson Daniels. We've seen it in Cleveland with Jalen Tyson. Some of these non-shooters, to a degree, when they are able to drive and you either ball watching or you overhelp, you see the impact of what those kicks are, who they're kicking the ball to, and what that opens up for them. So him being able to get them in drive and kick has been fun. And then, of course, you put a big on him, and now he can be a screener. He can make short roll decisions, and that just puts a lot of pressure on you. So the more that Josh Hart plays and the better that he is offensively, we know the impact he can have defensively for this team. And that's kind of where I think the tie-in is, because everyone loves a double big lineup these days, but you are asking Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns to, at some point, do perimeter-based things.
Yes.
And we've seen teams poke at that. Okay, it's fine. You can switch. You can contain the drive. Are you ready to make a multiple effort? Are you going to be in position on the weak side to help and recover and close back out and keep the ball in front? Are you able to navigate a screen? How are you going to handle those possessions? We've seen teams poke at that. Josh Hart, you don't necessarily have that problem. So I want to give a tip of the cap to Josh Hart. Have you enjoyed the Josh Hart experience, Nekias?
I have enjoyed the Josh Hart experience. And before getting into the Josh Hart experience, I would just like to say, too, one of the earlier points that you made. It was a overall point about the starting lineup. Thank goodness we are just getting more of Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride together. That felt like such low-hanging fruit with last year's team, to play them together, get some more shooting, get an extra ball handler on the floor. If you want to dabble in any of the full court pressure things, Deuce McBride can do that. We've seen it during this stretch as well. I'm glad we're getting more of that. It's been pretty clear for multiple seasons at this point that those two can play together, and you will win your minutes when those two are on the court together. So leaning more into that has just been fun for me. It has just been fun for me. So I wanted to sprinkle that in. As for Josh Hart, I've enjoyed it for all the reasons that you listed. The initiation, some of the playmaking, he's knocking down timely threes, the random crashes and extra possessions that he can create for you, and defensively, what he's opening up that you already kind of hit on, just some of the player types that he can take on, which allows for some more roaming elsewhere. Hey, we can put you on number 1 sometimes, so now we can unleash Mikal Bridges more as a helper, which I don't know. I know you're going to get to Mikal Bridges soon, but oh my goodness, talk about somebody I'm having fun watching play basketball as of late, it's Mikal Bridges. But no, Josh Hart has helped unlock a lot. And if he's locked in defensively, we know he can take on a lot of different on-ball assignments, but off-ball, if he's nailing those early rotations, if he's scrambling Jalen Brunson out of matchups or Deuce McBride out of matchups, putting out little fires before they become big fires, it just helps the entire ecosystem of that Knicks defense, which is trending up, as you mentioned, the November numbers already. And if they get stops, you get in transition. And that's where Jalen Brunson's at his best. Deuce McBride, early pull-ups, he's at his best. Mikal Bridges has long been one of the best transition scorers in basketball. You get the early trail stuff with Cat if you want to. So it all kind of ties in together. And I'm with you. Josh Hart absolutely deserves credit for helping tie this group together.
Yeah, want to give him a salute. I feel like I can't talk about the Knicks without giving a tip of the cap to Jalen Brunson, who's been insane over this stretch. I believe, what was he, Eastern Conference Player of the Week? He's just been getting bucket after bucket after bucket. And the way they use him, some of the two-man game with Cat, inverting actions, getting him off ball, he's sudden in the sense that he's going to get the ball. You don't necessarily know when he's going to get the ball, and he's going to have space to attack because we know the Knicks do a good job of trying to clear space, trying to clear a wing, cutting from the wing to make sure he can attack. And it's just, his footwork, the shiftiness, like these are things that we all know, but he does it every single night. And I feel like he's got to get that kind of credit for being that type of player on a nightly basis where you have to deal with him. You have to try and stop him. And that combination of driving and scoring is just too tough to deal with. So salute to Jalen Brunson. But I'm glad you mentioned Mikal Bridges, right?
Yes.
So we'll get to the defense. I know you're excited about that, but he's shooting 52.7% from the field. He's shooting 41.6 from three. To the defensive part, he's got a career-high 2.1 steals a game, career-high 1.3 blocks a game, 7 games with at least 2 blocks and 2 steals, which leads the league. And I think the big thing for me has been his off-ball defense this year, the activity that he's shown when he's not defending someone one-on-one. That the Knicks defense this year, when they're active and pressuring the ball, it's one thing. When they are rotating behind that and you see their jerseys moving, when there is an action or a roller and there's help, Bridges has been a real big key of that. And so when you have him and Hart and OG eventually coming back, that's kind of the defensive base you can imagine that you can sustain. So I want to give a tip of the defense. I know you will as well. But before you do, he's 4th in the NBA in total corner threes made. He's made 22. He's shooting 50% in the corner. He's shooting 43.5% on catch and shoot threes this year on 4.8 attempts. Last year, that was 37.2. He's shooting 50.9% on pull-up twos. He's taken one less this year. He's kind of finding that blend offensively within the system of being empowered, knowing when to attack, being able to drive closeouts, being able to go get you a bucket, and just blending in. So I think his play is also helping to elevate the Knicks. The floor is yours, Nekias.
I've been waiting. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do a 15-minute breakdown of Mikal Bridges, though we could. I would just like to say, he feels like he's on track for an all defensive first team selection at this rate. The on-ball work has been very good. You have the traditional, I guard the opposing team's best perimeter player. I have to navigate a bunch of screens on the ball. I have to navigate a bunch of screens off the ball. Please watch the Toronto tape. What all the mazes that he had to go through to defend Brandon Ingram and the job that he did. So you have that stuff, but to the off-ball defense in particular, I affectionately just yell out limbs whenever he does anything on a basketball court during our watch parties. But you really do just kind of feel him when he's at the nail. Or when he's anywhere near a primary action or if a drive is happening. He doesn't have to completely leave his man to impact the ball elsewhere. And like on the higher level, we talk about that with Wemby because of his arms and his length, that he can just kind of wall off a quarter of the court, if not half of it. His presence can do that. But Mikal Bridges has seeds of that because his arms are so long and because he's as flexible as he is as a basketball player, underrated portion of his game. He doesn't have to do the full commit and then trust the closeout. He's really good at that too when he's locked in. But he doesn't have to do that. He can play in between two better than most wing defenders. And this is where you get the steals that pop out on film, some of the pick sixes that pop out on film, the deflections that somebody else might pick up and that goes the other way. But even if it isn't any of that, there are so many possessions for the New York Knicks as of late to where the thought of Mikal digging at a drive forces an earlier pickup. And that allows someone else to get back to theirs. And now you got to create an advantage all over again. And like the typical, it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but like those things kind of stack up for positive impact for me. And so the fact that we are seeing more of Romer Mikal Bridges with some of the cross matching that New York does, in addition to the on-ball juice being back, that just breeds impact already. And then you get to the other end, as you mentioned, the shot profile, the more empowerment, the drives are up, the three-point shooting is there, the mid-range shot is still there when you need it to be, the screening that he can sprinkle in early in the clock or even later in possessions to force switches, feed matchups to someone else. It's been such a fun stretch of basketball for Mikal Bridges. This is the Mikal Bridges that the Knicks were promised when they first got him. And it's been cool watching him tap into that. And it breeds more excitement for me. It's like whenever OG comes back, like that takes a little bit off his plate in theory. And so you may see a better version of him defensively and or offensively because he doesn't have to do as much as what he's doing right now. So like I'm glad you brought up Mikal. I was excited to talk about Mikal.
Yeah,
he's been very good.
I figured you would be. And I think one important part, as they wait for OG to come back, you just have a lot of guys going at the same time. You feel a little more confident in your lineups. Guys know what they're supposed to do. Tyler Kolek comes in, does the job, gets back to the bench.
Fighting. Yeah.
He goes in and tries to make some plays. Deuce McBride has been shooting the leather off the ball of late here in Nekias. Finally having the breakout that I thought he was going to have at the start until Landry Shamet just decided I'm never missing again. But Deuce McBride, as of recording, shooting 60% from three in his last 4 games, 15 to 25. So
seems good. And
his pressure defensively just kind of fits right in, as you mentioned earlier. The interesting part, once again, is the Karl-Anthony Towns portion. And I think it's a fluid, dynamic deal. The production is there. Can you find it consistently? What's changed? And so the shooting, I think most people would say that should normalize at some point. Yep. It's not going to be this. But it is interesting because last year he shot 42% on above the big threes. This year he's at 31.3%. And then the drives are just about the same. And we've seen Mike Brown try and get him touches at the elbow. We've seen them try and get him a post up, try and establish him, obviously using him as a hub at the elbow to get cutting around him. But on those drives, it doesn't feel like he's getting as many calls as he would like. And the finishing feels like it has dipped to a degree that may not be sustainable. So I think he's at 66.9% in the restricted area last year. He's at 58.8 this year. And in the paint, non-restricted area, the short jump shot, 45.2 last year. He's at 37.2 this year. So we have a combination where, okay, the shots that people like you, aren't falling. What do we do now? And so I think it will be fine eventually. I think there's enough there. I do get curious against those teams that try to be physical, try to be active, try and get their tempo down. Okay, how do you balance getting Cat the ball without slowing yourself down to an absurd degree? That's something to keep an eye on. My thing with Cat is really more the defense.
Yeah.
I think you can figure out the Karl-Anthony Towns offense portion. For the Knicks, playoff-wise, defensively, you got to figure out what do you want to do with Cat? What are your best lineups? Are you going to do just drop? Is it going to be some switching, mixing in? We've seen that. How are you going to handle him and Jalen Brunson together? Like, you still have some of those playoff level questions, but as far as the base goes, I feel really good about what the Knicks have put together.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm in a similar boat as you, where I think the offense is just going to be fine eventually. Like, I feel the conversation that we had after the first week and a half of the season where it's like, hey, where are the Cat elbow touches? This is weird. Like, that's kind of gone away. They've mixed in more of those without losing the overall ethos of the ball movement and overall empowerment. So, like, I think that's going to be fine. He is one of the best big man shooters we have ever seen. Like, I just think that is just going to be fine. The defense is also where I'm just kind of like, I almost don't want to talk about it because I feel like everyone's talked about Cat defense at some point. And so on one hand, it's like, okay, what exactly am I adding to this? But I will just say to the Cat portion, I am intrigued by, we're going to have you maybe not all the way at the level, but like a step below, and then we can turn this into a late switch if necessary. And like, he has had his moments where he's held up pretty well on some of those late switches. And so like, that is in there. And if you can sprinkle in enough of that, then you're going to be fine. The biggest thing for me is just like, I just want consistent communication with those kind of things, because what pops on film for me are the instances where Cat is kind of up near the level. There's a couple of dribbles, and now it's decision time. Has Mikal gotten back? Has Josh Hart gotten back? Has Deuce gotten back, etc.? If they have, Cat can release, get back to his, we're cool. There are too many instances for me where it's the 2 dribbles or the 2 beats, it's time for you to get out. Cat hangs for the third. And now the other person doesn't know what's going on. Okay, Cat's still here. I guess he's switching. Let me get out. And Cat's like, bet, my guy's back. I'm getting out. Like that happened early in the Toronto game. And you can see both Mikal Bridges and Cat kind of, they don't want to do the demonstrative what's going on here, but there's like a low little, who's got, and it's just like, I don't want too many of those. And like the other thing that I've kind of been stewing on just with the Cat experience altogether, the aesthetic of his mistakes make his mistakes feel worse than what they actually are.
Oh, you're calling out volume right now. Okay.
Like it's a little, like I don't think the criticisms themselves are unfair. I would just say like, I'll go back to the Toronto game. I think mid first quarter, it was an early pick and roll. I want to say it was Brandon Ingram and Mamu when he first checked in. Early pick and roll near the middle of the floor. They had, I think, Jacoby Walter was one of the perimeter players on the right wing. Right corner was empty. Cat comes up to the level, on-time pocket pass is a Mamu dunk. And it's like, okay. In the midst of that pocket pass, Cat does what many bigs do. Jokic is supreme at this. I don't think I can get here. Let me toss my leg out and see if I can get a kick ball. We hit the ball, whistle blows, we get to set our half-court defense up. You know, we just try it again. Mm-hmm. But because of the way Cat generally defends, like his arms are by his side more often than you'd like. It's not always an active stance, poking at the ball or that kind of thing. So it's like arms are down. He's like sliding, has like the half lunge going because he's doing the at the level thing. He commits a little bit too much. The pocket pass is there. He tries to kick. The leg doesn't really go up. It just looks bad. And like the mistake itself is very easy to point out, like why it happened is not really a big deal. You don't want that, but it's really good design because of how Toronto spaced around it. But because of Cat, it just looks like, oh my God, this dude ain't even trying out here. What is it? And like, I don't think that part's fair to him. I don't think it's always an effort deal. I think it's more of a communication deal and like him needing to know when is my time to release versus to take a matchup. And when can I vocalize that? And so like more consistency there, I think they're going to be fine. If for no other reason than because they have Mikal and Josh and eventually OG and Deuce. And like they have so many good defenders they can toss around him. Even if it's just that, they should be fine. I just want more communication.
Well, I think to add to your point, the thing for Cat is just being able to nail his job. He's just got to do his job. And if you're Coach Mike Brown, you're the Knicks coaching staff, it's figuring out how many jobs could he possibly do and how much versatility or flexibility do we have. And so can we kind of mix in where he's kind of playing cat and mouse? Get it? Where he's near the level of the screen. He's dropping back. He might trap. You never know what it's going to be. Can he get some of that? The late switches helps him out. When those drops aren't necessarily as active and we can, okay, I got the ball, I can contain it. It's a good opportunity, especially with Josh Hart in the starting lineup, for him to kind of nail some of the 5 things more as opposed to the hybrid of, okay, I'm switching, now I'm on the perimeter, I'm helping, now I'm back at the 5. Should be a little bit easier for him to nail that. So intrigue there.
Yeah, I like it. Other possession I'll point out, literal first defensive possession of the game against Toronto. They flow into Spain pick and roll with Brandon Ingram. And New York switches towards the top. Deuce McBride ends up on Scotty Barnes. And I'm expecting Cat to just scram Deuce out of the matchup because Cat's in the corner with James in battle. But Cat is just kind of staring at the action in front of him. And so that switch doesn't happen. It's a kick to James in battle in the corner behind him, misses the 3. And now it's an offensive rebound from Jacoby Walter over Jalen Brunson. And it probably would have been a defensive rebound for Cat if he had like taken the matchup to begin, wouldn't have been close to the paint. But it's just little stuff. Like I think just more consistency is what I would like. That's all.
So did you enjoy watching that game back? Because it sounds like it had you in a little bit of a headache, bud.
I did overall because they ended up doing the job. I'm just saying, like those are examples of these are low hanging fruit things to grab for the Cat defense experience. And it just boils into the overall communication thing. So like that, I just wanted to hammer that point home.
Understood.
And I don't think it's been like all bad, to be clear.
Got you. Understood. Do you have any other Knicks thoughts?
I think you mentioned Yabusele a little bit earlier. Like, I did not expect this to be the shot-making season that he would have in New York, derogatory. And so just a continual perking up of that would be cool. Because the defense and some of the lineup versatility that he can unlock is still there. Just want a little bit more. I gave the quick shot to Tyler Kolek. He is fighting defensively and like the playmaking is there. I would have liked to have seen more of him last year too, but neither here nor there. And I mentioned the Jalen Brunson passing last week, so I don't want to hammer that one home. So yeah, shout out to the Knicks. There you go. They got the Raptors next week in the NBA Cup quarterfinals as well. So we'll be keeping eyes on that. Smile emoji.